Hey, what's up everyone? This is Silver Slayer. Thank you for tuning into this video. One of the most influential aspects for rising precious metals prices, especially on the physical side, is supply and demand. And we know from recently there's been this controversy whether demand for silver is rising or falling. And we see from the Silver Institute, demand is up by 10% in the first half of 2020. Now, this pandemic has definitely shut things down. It's constricted demand because businesses aren't blossoming like they would. People aren't accumulating silver as they would, but we still see demand up from the first quarter or the first half of 2020, along with a diminishing supply, especially since miners are having trouble digging it out the ground, not only from this pandemic, which is shortening staff, a lot of mines got shut down, especially the biggest mines in Mexico and Peru, which accumulate 40% of the entire global silver production, but also from worker constraints, from people, limited staff, and so on and so forth. So you can see how a rising demand, especially with new investors as well, rising demand and a diminishing supply is only going to make the price go up. And that's only one aspect. This is only one small aspect which is looking bullish for silver. Not only this, but so many other things, from the gold to silver ratio, U.S.-China trade negotiations, the pandemic, the 2020 presidential election, Trump's threats. There's so many different things that all entail higher prices, especially with 5G technology, electric vehicles, photovoltaic cells, with solar panels and the green energy that's going to be booming pretty soon. Silver just looks bullish all around the table. So this video is going to be specifically broken down to the supply and demand side, or more specifically the demand and what's going on these numbers. This is from the Silver Institute. So if you want to check out this article, the link will be in the description. With that said, let's jump into it. So silver investment demand up by 10% in the first half of 2020. So silver's role as a valued investment was broadly on display during the first half of 2020, as investors actively accumulated silver in the first 6 months of the year, leading a 10% gain in investment demand. Paving the way was remarkably strong growth in silver-backed exchange-traded products, or ETPs, which have posted successive all-time highs this year, together with solid silver coin and bar investments. The silver price averaged $16.65 through the end of the year, having fallen sharply in mid-March. The silver price since has strongly recovered, rising 56% to reach $70.84 June. And it's been broken through the $18 barrier. Actually broke through the $19 barrier. The gold to silver ratio, the quantity of silver ounces needed to buy 1 ounce of gold, fell since its multi-decade high of 127 to 1 in March. At the end of June, stood at 97.8, and it's currently 96, so it's still lowering, which is still very high by historical standards, but may signal that silver is undervalued relative to gold. So silver investment, retail and institutional inflows into silver ETPs have been impressive this year. As of June 30th, global holdings reached a fresh all-time high of 925 million ounces, which is roughly 14 months of the mine supply. The ETP growth in the first half of 2020 was of 196 million ounces, comfortably surpassed the highest annual inflow of 149 million ounces set in 2009. North American listed funds accounted for some 90% of the ETP inflows since March. Retail bullion coin sales jumped by an estimated 60% year-on-year. Silver bar and coin sales surged in response to a deteriorating economic outlook linked to the global pandemic, leading to some supply chain disruptions. This saw dealer stocks for several silver investment products quickly depleted, resulting in extended delivery lead times and higher premiums. And we saw that across the map as well. The recovery in a professional investor activity in May and June have reflected improving sentiment towards silver amongst these investors, particularly as a leveraged play on gold. This trend was clearly reflected on the COMEX. Although net managed money longs ended June at 176 million ounces, posting a 40% decrease compared to the December 2019 levels, this hides a marked improvement within the first 6 months, with net longs improving quite sharply between early May and end of June. So in China, improving price expectations and a rise in price volatility has also revived investor interest. Silver trading volumes on the Shanghai Futures Exchange recorded their highest monthly total for the year in May, while turnover on the Shanghai Gold Exchange remains elevated after hitting record levels in March. So here we're going into industrial and jewelry demand, which is, it's a smaller, jewelry demand is a smaller perspective and a smaller category, but in other countries like India, it's actually huge. So not surprisingly, this virus pandemic crisis negatively impacted silver fabrication demand in the opening half of the year. After a sharp contraction in the March-April period, silver industrial demand has shown signs of improvement from May onwards after the key economies gradually lifted lockdown measures. However, weak consumer confidence and a sharp rise in unemployment weighed on demand in many end-user applications such as automobiles and consumer electronics. Going forwards, some of this consumer drag could be mitigated by flow-through from the various governments' recently announced infrastructure investment programs, thereby lifting silver industrial demand. Looking ahead, silver jewelry is expected to weather the storm far better than other precious metals this year. This is due to the relative affordability and greater suitability to online selling of silver jewelry. Metals Focus, the independent precious metals consultancy, forecasts an annual decline for global silver jewelry fabrication of just 7% against the projected 25% slump for gold. So we see a lot of people not really focusing on gold jewelry, but more silver. And this certainly has been illustrated already by U.S. import statistics, where its imports of silver jewelry in U.S. dollar terms have improved from negative 65% year on year to, in April, negative 41% in May, whereas gold jewelry imports slumped by 91% in April and have barely recovered to negative 81% in May. Michael Bullion, director of the Silver Promotion Service, or SPS, an arm of the Silver Institute focused on stimulating demand for silver jewelry in major international markets, stated, "In June, we commissioned a consumer research survey where respondents were asked to evaluate pent-up consumer demand due to this pandemic. The results were very positive, with 64% of the consumers surveyed saying they were planning to purchase belated jewelry gifts and over 50% indicating it would be silver jewelry." Silver mine supply. Global silver mine supply is expected to continue its decline, given the temporary production stoppages of mining operations in several significant silver mining countries due to the pandemic outbreak, which I was mentioning earlier in the video. Even with most of the mining operations now back online, global silver mine production is forecast to dip by 7% in 2020. So we see this again, diminishing supply, but a rising demand. Silver price in the second half of 2020. Investment inflows into silver are likely to continue in the second half of 2020. This is primarily a result of its safe haven status, a widespread belief among investors that silver is undervalued in absolute terms in comparison to gold, exceptionally low interest rates, reducing the opportunity cost of carrying gold and silver, and unprecedented liquidity injections by central banks. And as a result, the price of silver is anticipated to surpass the $21 mark in late 2020, with a fall of the gold to silver ratio to below 90. So they're saying it's going to be above this $21 mark in late 2020. In a couple months, there's only, we're basically past halfway through the year. So in the next 5-6 months, they're saying that silver could rise all the way up to $21 or more, which is very interesting because the Silver Institute rarely does forecasts. But this is a little insight that they gave us, and it's definitely showcasing a lot, especially since they're bullish. Now, what does this all mean? This means that silver is on a pedestal and it's a ticking time bomb waiting to blow. I made a couple videos yesterday talking about the supply and demand variables, talking about the signs, the signals from the chart standpoint, and it really showcases where prices could be headed. Not only talking about the past, but more specifically looking to the future. The past is the past. There are some patterns from the 1979, 1980 $50 silver market, especially from the 2008 credit crisis, leading to 2011, which was also $50 silver. But things are more exaggerated now. Things, especially since we have a global pandemic on our hands, it's only looking like silver not only could reach $50, but could go beyond that. And the video I was talking about, they're talking about triple-digit silver. Now, is this going to happen today or tomorrow? No. Is it going to happen in a couple months? No. 3 to 5 years, it's definitely possible. I mean, not even 9 years ago, silver was $50. So if we break down that with the recession/depression, with the 2020 presidential election, with the supply and demand diminishing, with silver's properties such as a gold to silver ratio showcasing silver is undervalued or relatively cheap compared to gold, It all is pointing towards higher silver prices. Like I said, if you can go in the future, if you had a time machine, you could jump in the future 5-6 years from now, and you could look back on today's times, it would be obvious that silver's going to blow. It's a ticking time bomb. But since we're in it currently, there's so many distractions that we can't really see what's right in front of us. So hopefully this video showcased that, and hopefully you can see the bigger picture. So with that said, I'm going to wrap this video up here. If you did enjoy this video, if you thought it was educational, informational, or at least just entertaining, make sure to smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. I post daily videos. This was Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.